Hello students, today we're going to take a moment and make sure we know how to sew by doing a sampler. If you've done sewing before, this should be fairly speedy for you, but if you haven't, take your time, enjoy making stitches and seeing what they look like. We're going to do three kinds. One is running, so I just wrote running on one of the short sides. One is called whip stitch or spiral stitch, so I just wrote whip. And the last one is called blanket stitch. So I wrote blanket on the third side. And notice that that fourth side is folded, so it does not have to be sewn. To begin sewing, you always have to get about an arm's length of embroidery thread, most of the time. And I'm carefully unrolling this embroidery thread so that it doesn't make a mess. If you just pull thread out of one of these, it can make a big tangly nest, and then no one else can use that for a while. An arm's length might be about 25-30 inches. If you make your strings short, you end up having to re-thread your needle a bunch, but if you make it too long, then it's a really big challenge because it gets worn down and because it takes so long to make each stitch. On one end, you'll see that I put the thread through the needle and left a ponytail. And on the other end, I twirl it around my finger 3 times. I use my thumb to roll it off, and then I strangle down to make a really big stop knot. This is just one way to do it. Another way you can thread a needle is to cut yourself a tiny strip of thin paper, fold it like a little hot dog bun, lay your thread in that hot dog bun, kind of like a hot dog, and then pinch it closed and use that paper to slip through the eye of your needle. So it just carried it through, and then I can put it down. Again, leaving that same ponytail because we will have to be removing our needles from time to time during this project. Always start from inside your fabric to hide that knot. So even though it might not make intuitive sense to you, your knot will be inside, kind of making a little bulge. And we're going to begin running stitch. Running stitch just means go up one hole and then down into the very next hole. Every time I come through, I grip my thread so that the ponytail doesn't pull out. Watch again. Uh-oh, I just made the wrong kind of stitch. So I'm going to go back out the way I came. It's easy to do that with paper. I'm going to go down, and that leaves a nice little straight dashed line, and that is what a running stitch should look like. When I'm coming from back up, watch, I pull the thread until the stitch closes down. And every time I'm pulling, I grip the ponytail so that it doesn't come out of my needle. Now I'm going to do a whip stitch. A whip stitch means you're always going to go from the same side. Usually I go from the back, up, 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 but since my thread left me in this place, I'm going to keep going down, 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 down to make a nice spiral stitch. If you forget that you're going from the same direction over and over again, you can undo what you did. It'll look like a running stitch, and then you can try again. So whip stitch means you're whipping around every time you make a stitch, coming down, 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 or in some cases up, 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 up. But here you see me going around and down, around and down. Sometimes you need to move the thread to make sure it's laying the way you would like it to be, and they're evenly spaced. Nothing looks perfect when it's hand sewn, but now it's time for blanket stitch. I just did one. Let me talk about what it looks like. The same as a whip stitch. So here I'm going to go down, except that while I'm pulling it, I slow down and I catch a little doorway before it closes. So whip stitch down, but then catch a little doorway before it closes. Whip stitch down, catch the little doorway. And notice that makes very straight lines and a very secure stitch. So there's positives and negatives to all of these kinds of stitches, and you'll probably use more than one for your project. But I would love to see your beautiful sampler today before you move on. When you get to the end of a project, you need to make sure that your thread isn't going to pull out. One way to do that is to keep a lot of length of thread. Don't cut it yet. See how I still have a lot? And if you don't have a lot, get new thread. Leave your needle on it, but then go under an existing stitch and catch that doorway before it closes. That will make a little bit more of a secure knot. If you do that twice, then you're going to have a very, very secure knot. Catch the little doorway by going under an existing stitch. All right, let's see how you do.